Drives, catches, puts up a three. Won't go. Rebound Bosh. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang! Tie game with 5 seconds remaining.
Welcome to the Ultimate Super Coach and Fantasy Sports Show. You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Boom shakalaka!
G'day everyone and welcome to a show where anything can happen. You have 3 Matties and 1 Skiddy, and that just spells trouble for the NBA fantasy world. That is you. I am your host and compatriot inside NBA guy, Mr. Matty G. You can find me at NBA G Wiz. And these gentlemen beside me, let's go Mattrix, and we'll work our way across. G'day, boys.
What's happening, man? I'm just out here to talk about some here to talk about some basketball. There's been a few games of footy today and a few games of basketball. So it's been we have the day off, being Anzac Day. So yeah, it's been a huge day. Been up since 4.
Beautiful. Our next bloke along is the man with the beard, the nose ring, who can sling anything. His name is Jake Skidmore, Skiddy IFS. How you doing, Skidmore?
Yeah, going well, horse. Horse. Jeez, I'm so sucked into AFL.
Stuck into the AFL.
G'day, G Wizzle. How are you, buddy? Mate,
an honour.
Good. First of all, just want to say shout out to all the Anzacs and everything like that. Lest we forget, absolute legends, and we couldn't do what we do without them. So hats off to them. Been good. Woke up early as pissed this morning. Then watched the Boston and the Heat game, into the Pelicans and the OKC Thunder, straight into Collingwood Essendon. And then I'm here with you, gorgeous bastards. What a day.
What a day to be alive. How good is watching playoff basketball right now, Mally? How are you enjoying that?
Yeah, I'm loving it, mate. Just enjoying my Anzac freedoms, watching a bit of American sport. Why not?
This is what the people came for. This is what they want. It is that way. But let's talk playoffs real quickly before we jump into it. You are on the first ever Insight NBA Fantasy Awards show. We've got some categories. We're going to break them down. We're going to go from most improved to breakout player of the year, bust of the year, waiver hero of the year, and our MVP. Let me start off with you, Mattrix. What's been the highlight? Just touch on it. What's been the highlight of your fantasy season?
Honestly, there probably wasn't too many this year. Got a few right in the really late rounds or really early picks in like your Dennis Schroeders and some D'Los and some guys like that, which propelled me forward early in the season. But yeah, just got a couple of those early ones wrong. Didn't have the best fantasy year, I'd say. So
I hear that one. Now that brings me, Skiddy. I know in some leagues you were competing deep, and I know in some that you didn't make even the playoffs in one, and you had the number 1 pick in one. And this is the crazy thing, because you never know where it's going to go. Like, you know, what's going to hit and what's not. What was one of your highlights? What were some of your lessons, maybe from your fantasy season?
Yeah, my lessons, well and truly, would be don't take a gamble on someone that you're not 100% sure on early on in the draft. I took a couple of gambles and they went to shit. So what I've learned from that is definitely really prioritize your earlier picks and make sure you're doing a bit more of a safer draft. And also, when you're punting, don't over punt. There's definitely a thing of over punting that can really screw you up if you get injuries later on in the season.
Yeah, 100%. I guess that brings us to the king of the pivot, the man with the mo and the man in the know when it comes to riding. Mate, the man rides waivers like it's a horse every single day of the week. Mally, tell us about your season in general and your ability to pivot.
Raping and pillaging the old waiver wire. Yeah, well, actually, it was a pretty poor season for me too. I'm on the same page as Matty Mattrix there. Probably my best season overall as far as trades go, because I just made a hell of a lot of them. So I'm not sure if there's a hall of records for the most trades done in one season across 3 leagues, but I'd be pretty happy to back myself that I took that one out.
I'm going to guarantee you that if there wasn't an award, congratulations. This is one of the surprises of the night, Mally. We give to you on behalf of Insight NBA. This is you tonight, brother. You get the award for the most waiver ads in a season and most trades done.
Oh, Mum's going to be so proud. Thank you, boys.
She will be. She will be, Mrs. Malley. She loves it. Hey, let's go through it. Let's start it.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
Get your moment here. Hey, look, we've got some gear to discuss throughout the course of the night. This is our first one. Let's start up with one of the awards that was just handed out in the NBA yesterday. It went to one of our nominees, that one of our analysts. So each one of us, the format for the show was this: we each had to basically blindly submit our answers to the question, what are our ones for the, I guess, the most improved, breakout, bust, hero, and MVP. We filled in the form and we went from there. This was one of them. This went down yesterday. I'm going to start with this one. This is the most improved list we had on our analysts. These are them. And you're going to be able to vote live for these in on X right now. Kobe White, Daniel Gafford, Alperen Şengün, and Tyrese Maxey, gentlemen. These were our nominations. I will start with you. You can actually, as of this very second, jump into our X live and actually place in your vote for this one. And we'll give an update as the show goes and track how you guys are going. Malley, talk us through it. For Alpi, Şengün was yours.
Yeah, just harking back to what Skiddy said before about gambles, and I reckon this bloke was a bit of a gamble at the start of the season. Was old Alperen Şengün. I love the bloke. I heard him having a conversation with PG the other day on his podcast P. Just sounds like a real dude. Hey, like he nearly didn't become a basketball player because they threw him in the pool and said swim laps, and he got too bored of it. So good for us, because now we got a guy who is out there playing great basketball. But like at the start of the season, they were saying this guy might be pushed behind old Brookie Lopez, and then Brook Lopez stayed on, which is good for people like me who picked him up and took the gamble. He's quickly become one of the best players in Houston, and he's kind of sunk poor old Jalen Green, even though he came back and had a pretty good end to his season and limited Freddie VanVleet. But a dude who can get 5 assists. He's got 21 points at center in the modern game. That's the kind of guy who I think deserves most improved. He just was impressive this fantasy season. His blocks dipped a little bit on his last season, but his steals went up, and his points went up 7 a game. His assists went up. His rebounds went up. His minutes went up. And strangely enough, his fouls went down. So maybe he's just trying to contest a little bit less, but yeah, we'll see what he does. What are the Rockets going to do next year? Are they going to fist him again, or are they going to roll him out and play him properly, or who knows? Are they going to wait for a better offer? He's my most improved.
Well, talking about the Rockets, then I guess we should talk to Skiddy, because his missus is one of the hardest fans we know. So let's bring that to your guy in our list of people. Your most improved on this list was Tyrese Maxey, who actually won the award, Skiddy. And this was one of the hottest debates. Why did you lean with him as your most improved player?
Look, there was a lot of and ahhing about where you're going to pick Maxey, purely because James Harden was there to start the season. And then Harden gets traded off a couple of weeks into the season, and Maxey just went absolutely bang. Finished as the 20th ranked player in fantasy basketball for totals and in played games as well. So very, very impressive there from Tyrese. Scoring up absolutely massively, where he was averaging almost 26 points per game, 3 threes, 6.5 assists. Field goals were a little bit down, but that's all right. And he's really good at free throw percentage and getting to the line as well. So that's why I had to give it a Maxey. It was bloody tight between him for actually most improved between him and Kobe White. But yeah, I think what Maxey was able to do now, becoming an all-star, huge from him. And yeah, I'll happily give him a most improved this season.
Yeah, a great vote and a great shout. And funnily enough, one of the guys that you were high on before the season, who actually got some noms as well, and who was up there, and Mattrix has taken one of your early season flyers, Daniel Gafford. Mattrix, you went with Gafford as your guy. Why did you lean Daniel? Daniel, because that's his first name. We're on a first name basis.
Yeah. When looking at fantasy basketball, I'm all about value. So he was a guy that was drafted in and around that 100. I have it here somewhere. In Yahoo, averaged at 100. ESPN averaged at 99. Had one of those could have been anything seasons, got traded, and finished the season as the 44th best player. If you went ahead and drafted Daniel Gafford, you had a tremendous year. He was never a drop, even when he was at the Wizards. And even that -1 rating, if you leaned into a little bit of a punt at free throw percentage. Yeah, one of the best players out there. So, what was that? 7.6 rebounds, 11 points, 1.6 assists, 2.1 blocks. Probably not the sexiest pick out there, but yeah, just tremendous value in Daniel Gafford when I'm looking at some of the rankings here, and we're talking Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, Jaren Jackson Jr., Bam Adebayo, all in the 40s, and Daniel Gafford's the 44th best ranked player. He'd probably be overdrafted next year, to be honest. But for this year, if you took him at 100, you're probably close to taking the chip. So.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's where it starts. I think we all start to look at the next season ahead at the end of the season. And Daniel Gafford's going to be now one of those names. You hit it on the head, Mattrix, that this is one of the guys that people are going to look and take a deeper look at next season. And he's going to come off your draft board a lot earlier. I know, Skiddy, you were high on him in the preseason. And, you picked him up everywhere because you could. But next year, you're not going to be so lucky, are you, mate?
No, I'm not picking up Gafford at the 60th pick or whatnot. Yeah, he does great field goal percentage, great blocks, great rebounds. But, yeah, it's especially with Lively as well coming along. It's a bit of a logjam there. But, yeah, he was fantastic this year, even at Washington. But we know that he broke the record for most field goals made in a row. So good on him. But if there's no value in him, then stuff him.
Yeah, 100%. Look, my vote was Kobe White at the end of the day. But funnily enough, he finishes the season ranked as the 92nd player. And he was a guy, funnily enough, just outside the top 100 in your ADPs for the season across rankings. He was someone who had a really good preseason as well. So kind of eyes were on Kobe in the preseason. But then he managed to deliver once Zach LaVine went down. I would probably say that between him and Ayo Dosunmu taking the breakout that they did for most improved is one of the reasons the Bulls even made the play-in tournament at the end of the day. What are they? The best worst team in the NBA? If we could say it.
I'd say Houston has that role pretty easily.
You and your Rockets. It's a love-hate. But look, almost give me 20 points.
Those two guys were better than Jalen Green. So
yeah, that's true.
This is true, even though he went on a bit of a heater as well. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, the guy finished just inside the top 100, which isn't that much of a return on your ADP. He finished at the 92nd, in some spots 99th, depending on your build. Give me 20 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds a game. That's pretty decent, and that's a big step up. And this is where I think that he should get that award more than Tyrese Maxey, because it's an improvement. Because I already think bloody Tyrese Maxey, Skiddy, was fucking excellent. Like, he was a really good player. And I think this is what the discourse has been. But if you want to talk about good things already, jump into our Discord. Make sure you don't forget it is in the link below. Just like a drink, it is crisp to the touch, just like Mattrix took everyone. Jump into the Discord. We have our premium and our free services. Everyone should just take a drink and salute our first award going out the way. Make sure you jump into the Discord. We've got heaps of stuff to go in there. There we go. 12 minutes to refill. That's why I'm here. We need beers. Look, he's done okay. It's his earliest record, so he wins the award for that one. I guess you could say. Look, we've got our next
day
award
off today. It's not my first, so
yeah.
What many drinks do you and Skiddy on? As I know you guys have had the more wild days.
I'm not really counting. I had a few at the park with the young fella, so.
I'm on to about me. I've polished off a 6-pack, so I'm probably on about 8. So I'm going all right.
Love that for you. And Malley, you're just doing something different today. You're repping our new Insight T-shirt. Do you want to show that off? Look at you.
Yeah, look at this. But made you trade me up to an extra large, mate, because I'm starting to feel out a little bit. I'm eating my veggies.
I was going to put the shot on that you sent me with, like, you popping the guns, and Mattrix has got the hat there. I've got the hat on as well, and Skiddy and I also your Insight jumpers.
Yes,
I guess we're going to start. We've had requests for the merch store, so that's that's in the pipe. Where that's coming.
Yeah, and you can actually win a little bit of gear by giving us a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, everything like that. At the moment, you can get up to 10. You can get 10 entries into the competition. Just by screenshotting it, message it through to us or the Insight Fantasy Sports account. Of course, there's NBL, there's AFL, there's NRL, there's BBL, and of course NBA. So get in, get your entries. Write something funny. We might even read that on the show if it's hilarious. So.
Oh yeah,
if it's hilarious and true and 5 stars. I think that's the only way we're doing this one.
It could be 5 stars, I guess, and tell us we're spuds too. So
yeah, love that.
The hottest guy in podcasting in NRL right now has to be Mattrix. Some of the comments that you are getting are absolutely hot.
And can you blame him as well? No,
Sunday
you
he's
cannot.
on the
That's a
stage.
good-looking man right there.
No, that is a sexy man right there. Look at him with that curly locks at the front. A whole bunch of guys at the beginning of the season were hyped. We loved them. We wanted them. We drafted them high. Let's give out our awards to
Wait
this
a
one.
minute. That's the smartest thing I've ever heard anyone say about anything.
This is the Breakouts Player of the Year, because if you're going to talk bust, you're going to talk about the guys first that actually made your season. Let's take a look at our
You got
and
muted with that one, mate.
Skiddy. Yeah, Skiddy. Oh, I know. I got a bit muted. I don't know what was going on. There was a song that played randomly. I was going to put a hip hop beat on. There we go. And Kobe White was our last nomination. So we have these blokes up in the ranks. I guess we could have you start up there. One of our guys for the breakout season of the year was Kobe White. Skiddy, you loved him to start the year. We just spoke about him. He didn't get that award. Why do you think for you he was the breakout for you instead of the most improved?
I'll tell you what, G Whittle, I really should have specified which White, because it was definitely Derek White, not Kobe White, that I was talking about.
Oh, you put the wrong White. Okay, I just read White. I thought he was
You assumed which White.
I assumed that he was a breakout because of the talk of the most improved. I thought he was a two-time nominee.
I also said Derek White, and you just put a random white guy up in Caruso, so I don't know what you're doing, mate.
I love it. No, mate, Derek White for me, mate. So he ended up finishing the 29th overall player per game in fantasy basketball this year. He was unbelievable for the Celtics. He was always kind of like, and like, will he be able to fit in well into this Celtics side with Brown, Porzingis, Tatum, Drew Holiday? And he absolutely passed it with flying colors. He was amazing. I thought he braked out really nicely, especially on the defensive end. I thought that was a massive improvement for him. And then also his three-point shooting. And that was just really carrying his numbers and being able to get the assists off of that. He fits in so well. I've said it so many times that he is that cornerstone piece of that Celtics team. Just of everything that he does just that little bit of everything well. And as I said, though, the defensive stats were amazing. There's not many other players that averages a steal and a block from the guard position. So, yeah, that's why I'm giving my breakout to Derek White.
Mattrix, what about you, mate? Let's go back to your list on your breakouts for the year. Mate, you had old mate Scotty Barnes. We called him Bounce Back Barnesy, and you thought he went even a step back from bouncing out for the year.
I mean, sorry, Harrison Barnes, the consensus 147. No, Scotty Barnes. Was taken about 50th overall, finished at 21st overall, just improved immensely. And Raptors made moves to, I suppose, elevate his game towards the end of the year. Just moving on Pascal and some blokes like that. Scotty Barnes had a terrific year, even like that point forward spot that he's playing now. I tell you what, if you knew what you knew at the start of the year about Scotty Barnes, even his shooting percentages, basically everything got better from Scotty Barnes. Toronto Raptors didn't get better, but as Toronto have sort of said, Scotty Barnes, you're our guy now. And yeah, if you drafted Scotty Barnes, you're in tremendous stead for the year ahead. And that's why I've picked Scotty from the Toronto Raptors, not Harry from the Kings.
Good to know I didn't fuck that. Good to know I didn't fuck that one up when I was reading the notes. I just saw surnames and I defaulted, like, we're talking about Kobe White. I thought it was Kobe White in that cat. I saw that. Thank God I didn't take the fucking wrong Barnesy on that one. I'll take it. Hey, Malley, talk us through your one, your breakout. And I think this was the most curious. And let me just, dare I say, could I say this was probably the spiciest one? Alex Caruso as a breakout player. Go for it.
It's funny. The only one you got right is the one that you look like you got the most wrong. Alex Caruso. the one that you nailed is the one that people are like, what? This guy? No, look, here's my case for Alex. He's a good bloke to start with, so I think we could just end voting on that. But yeah, I think he was a bit of a fantasy breakout this year. We got to see what he could do when he was healthy. I mean, at the start of the year, he had his ups and downs. He had some little minor injuries. He had trouble staying in the game, but he was just coming back and playing his minutes. he was also in a lucky position where we assumed that Lonzo wasn't going to come back, and he didn't. And then Levine was out, then in, then out again. And he's a really low usage guy, but he's a big time fantasy darling. I know Matty G, you feel a bit the same way. We both had a little fight over him to finish out the 12-man comp at the end of the year. But look, he took more threes this year. He upped that by 2 threes a game. He got an increase of 5 minutes just because of the blokes being out around him. So he's kind of turned more into a 3-and-D guy probably than what he was statistically last year. He was a guy who didn't really do you damage in any particular category, which is how I like my guys. I like him non-damaging, but I like him to be a bit of a jack of all trades. And he got the occasional block. He got steals. He got threes. His percentages were not too bad. You know, he'd score double-digit figures, get a couple of assists and a couple of rebounds. He kind of was a bit of a Swiss Army knife. And I know it's weird looking at the guy and saying he had a breakout, but I kind of think if you look back at his stats from the last few years, especially while he's been with the Bulls, it kind of was a bit of a breakout for him. And I think, you know, my final point is that he pissed Rudy Gobert off at the end of the season, and anyone who can do that he deserves some sort of award, even if it's not breakout. He's just... Yeah, yeah. And what if then Rudy comes out and says something like, mate, I'm going to sort him out myself? I would pay to see that.
Would love it. Would love to see Rudy Gobert try and take him on. Look, I'll tap in on this one because I think you touched on Jalen Johnson and Caruso, and we were in our final week and we were talking about, I remember I had Caruso and I dropped him because I needed to try and build some other areas. And you're like, oh, that's risky. And it was only because of the Bulls' schedule. I think he became last season one of those guys that if you had him, you just wanted to hold him because his ability to swing steals for you is just massive. Like the cluster of steals that the bloke gets was ridiculous. And although not like the league leader like SGA or someone like that, just pulling a dude like that later off the wire can really help swing you. Look, I went with Jalen Johnson at the end of the day. The guy was, and Skiddy, I know that you've got him in another category. He is one of our multiple nominees this year. He's the multiple nominee because he ended up being this ridiculously good fantasy player, the 45th ranked player, 44th ranked player in fantasy, guy averaging nearly 9 rebounds a game, almost 4 assists, 3.6, 1.2 steals, basically giving you 2 stocks a game. The guy's doing it with 16 points. His free throws can improve, and he's doing it with plus 500. Now, if you could bump that free throw percentage up, he is going to go off here. He's going to go off next year. And I think for me, what defines a breakout is a guy that you know you'll never, ever be able to fucking get again where you got him. That to me, boys, I don't know about you, but that defines breakout for me. Like I will never, ever be able to jump onto the one, pick him up ever again. And yeah, Brano, you bang on, mate. JJ's the guy for me. He gets my breakout because I picked him up he's in a different category. We'll talk about that one later on, but yeah, he was just huge for me this season. So for me, I have to back Jalen Johnson from the Atlanta Hawks. This is why they moved John Collins, because they're like, fucking, here's your roadmap. It's Jalen Johnson. It's DeJounte Murray if you go young. I think they were very clever to actually give that a rollout. And you can vote for Jalen Johnson as well as anyone else right now live on X. Our voting for this show is live, so you can do it as we give the nominees out. We're posting them. Word on X. Can we vote for our own guy to help get them over the line? Is that really your vote? Is that you can vote for my? Yeah, you can vote for my guy.
I am voting for your shit.
I vote for Caruso. Yeah. Someone give me one. Come on. Won't be me, but someone better.
Daniel Gafford either. I'm off that.
Yeah.
Someone will vote for it as we go.
Brilliant.
Mattrix, your breakout again. Now this is Scotty Barnes. We called him Bounce Back Barnesy before the season. Why is Scotty Barnes your breakout of the season this year?
Yeah, look, Scotty Barnes is just phenomenal, to be honest. Like the 21st overall ranked player. You were taking him in the 50s. Yeah. 100%. Just get on Scotty. I think that he will be taken top 30 next year, and you'll never get that value back again out of Scotty. Especially with basically all his numbers going up over the course of the year. I had him up on my screen, but just like his 3-point percentage improved, his assists improved, his blocks, like he just improved in every single category. And yeah, to me, that is a breakout candidate.
And yeah, Brenner, he also gets 2 shout outs because I tapped in, I was going to go to Skiddy for Skiddy's nomination for Breakout of the Year. Skiddy, your guy was Kobe White, who I thought was most improved, but you thought he was a breakout. So I fucked it up. I pushed the wrong button. I did the wrong thing. That's fine. Talk us through what now. Why is Kobe for you a breakout? More so
he wasn't though. It was Derek White.
It's
Derek. But this is the thing. But why? This is the thing.
Mate.
No, but this is the thing. But it was Derek White for you. But I'm going to ask you the question: do you think Kobe White was a breakout this year? I know it was Derek White, but if I was to ask you for the most improved to reconsider, would you put him in a category of someone who gets more attention next year?
Well, yeah, obviously he's going to be a breakout, but because you're definitely not going to be able to get him at the same price that you got him at last season. So
that's
you're not going to be getting him in like the 150s or anything like that. He's definitely going to be much more higher. I could even see a fact where he's the starting point guard for the Bulls next year.
See, this is what I'm curious by this one. When our perception changes for our breakout players is where we really get to pull them in for next year. For instance, Jalen Johnson, waiver wire hero for some guys as well. And he may have a nomination for that later on. Spoiler alert, he does. But you can never get these guys again. But these are never as much as the guys that absolutely break your fucking heart. And these are the guys that broke our heart this year. Mikal Bridges, Andrew Wiggins, Walker Kessler, and my God, the pool party himself, one Mr. Jordan Poole. That is not good love at all, boys. Those nominees that's not good. They're not good. Skiddy, talk us through yours, mate. Why did you think that Jordan Poole was, at the end of the day, the absolute biggest bust in the world?
Well, there was some people that were, trying to say, hey, we got to take Poole very high because, he's got the opportunity here in Washington, which he did. I reckon I could have been the only person that said that Kyle Kuzma would have finished higher than Jordan Poole this year, and I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So, yeah, Poole's an absolute bust. People were taking him in the 30s, and what he finished, almost 200th or something like that. He killed your field goal percentage. He was shocking to start the year, through the midpoint of the year. Did okay when he went back to the bench late. But on that, it was just absolutely disgusting. If you took him that high, yuck, yuck, yuck.
100%. It was not pretty. It was not a pretty season in Washington overall. But you have another one. You have someone else who broke your heart, and it wasn't a pretty season. And we've got a Steph Curry-less playoffs because of it. Andrew Wiggins. I think I got the right Wiggins here. I'm pretty sure, by the way, Mattrix. Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, Andrew Wiggins, basically his ADP was 86.1 at ESPN, 90 at Yahoo. To be completely honest, if you press Control F and search in the top 200 for Andrew Wiggins, he was not in the top 200 of fantasy ranked players.
Yeah.
That is the definition of a bust and an absolute non-factor. And it was due to his percentages just dropping, his assists dropping, his steals dropping, his blocks dropping. His turnovers improved because they decided to sit him because he was that bad this year. He is on close to a max contract, and Andrew Wiggins is going to be an absolute non-factor heading into next year. And honestly, if you drafted him in the top 100, I hope you were good on the waiver, or you didn't hold him too long.
Isn't it funny that Aaron Wiggins was a better fantasy player this year than Andrew Wiggins for the Oklahoma City? That's unreal. I love that.
Maybe I fucked up and put the wrong Wiggins in. Maybe I should have added the OKC guy. Is that what I should have done? I should have just
he was better than Andrew Wiggins.
Oh yeah. There's no doubt about it. The guy was an absolute unmitigated disaster for everyone. But you actually thought Walker Kessler, Malley, could be the bigger disaster of the year as well. Why? I know that you also had thoughts on Pooley.
No, I did have thoughts on Poole, and he's probably going to get my vote as well. But I think Walker Kessler deserves maybe a little second place runner-up ribbon or something like that. He's a man with two first names, so we can start with that. That's pure greed. But he statistically, from his last season to this season, his 2022-23 season, I had to look twice because I was like, no, I'm looking back at his stats from last year. No, I was looking at his stats from last year. They're just exactly the same as this year. It's a mirror. He played the same amount of minutes. He got the same statistics. He just froze. He didn't go anywhere. It's almost like they just copied and pasted him from the year before. people thought, and maybe I'm a little bit guilty of this, people thought that he was going to step up big in the year and, like, at least at bare minimum, he'd be able to carry you with blocks. I think one of the big things about our mindset about someone being able to carry you with blocks was absolutely shattered by one Victor Wembanyama this year, where we're like, oh well, okay, that's a guy who can carry on blocks. Now we know what that looks like, and Walker Kessler looks like he's playing little kids games over there with his 2.4. He finished 83rd on the season, which seems bloody generous, and I think a lot of that was buoyed by his blocks. But Utah just went with Collins. They just said, this is the guy we're going to play at center. So they chucked him in there. Walker went to the bench. He had a couple of injuries throughout the season. They just didn't prioritize him. Like, it might be one of those things like what would have been if he played 30 minutes as opposed to 22. But he's a bit one-dimensional. He gets blocks and kind of gets in the way. I assume he'd do what I'd be able to do if I was 7 foot something. Just kind of accidentally get in the way and slap balls and, do all the bad things. But yeah, maybe he would have got closer to 60th. I think even best case scenario, if he got that 30 minutes, which wasn't going to happen, he still wouldn't have got close to what some people were picking him up at, around the 50s. And I don't know. I'm a pretty firm believer on one guy from your draft can't really make or break, but it must have been close because he basically became a drop. And if you picked him up with your 4th pick, would have hurt.
Now, I'm not getting into too much, and I support you. I'm the guy who drafted Walker Kessler in a couple of places, and when he got injured, I know I had to drop him in one. And we're not wanting to talk about our own league too much, but Malley, there was a guy that we traded for because I know that you were just thirsty. You were the thirstiest of all the boys for trades. And this is my first surprise of the night. We're not the only 4 people in this podcast, and you guys did not know this, but some friends of the show I asked to give their votes and thoughts on all these things, including our frequent guests. We actually have one of 3 special guests right now who wanted to give their votes when I said we're doing it. They're like, oh, can I vote? I'm like, no, you can't jump in. One of them was Adam King. This is his vote. It's for my vote.
G'day, lads.
Here it is.
Sorry I didn't make the cut for the live show. It's a little bit sad, but I'll give you my bust of the year anyway. Look, a few names in contention here. I'm going to go with Mikal Bridges, someone I didn't draft him anywhere, thank God. He was going too high, ADP of around 22 to 24. Just didn't do enough for me. Next season, I think people are going to be a little bit scared off. So could be a bit of value next season if he can rediscover some form. But thanks, boys. Have a good show.
Yeah, we are having a good show, and he is my guy, Mikal Bridges. Thank you very much, Adam King. Make sure you like and subscribe to all his things. We love Adam King. We love you guys at FBI. Thank you for always supporting Insight. Yeah, look, to be honest, guys, Mikal Bridges was mine, and he was one of my guys as well. Just like I almost attempted to drop him at one single point of time. I almost attempted to do that. Why? Because he was just a horrible. Thank you, Kessler. I dropped him in the only league. Matt Carmody, friend of the show. We love that from Matty Carmody. But yeah, look, I was absolutely smacked at Mikal Bridges this year. Malley, I traded you for him because there were flashes. There were flashes where he could be the guy. There were flashes that Mikal Bridges could take on more responsibility in Brooklyn. And they were tanking in a majority of ways. They're a young team. They were coming up. He finishes the season as the 91st ranked player. And if you drafted him anywhere inside the top 25, that is just a massive, massive fucking subtraction. His percentage was the thing that hurt him, and we all wanted him to do better at this year than he was last year. He finished last year with a great field goal percentage after the trade. He actually finished last year as the 32nd ranked player with a field goal percentage of .468. And we fell in love with the Mikal Bridges at the end of last year. He didn't get that back to us. He never lived up to that potential. Though I do believe this may be one of your somewhat sleeper guys next year because people are going to be hurt by Mikal Bridges. I don't know about you guys, but when one guy hurts you, you don't want to put him back in your fantasy lineup the next year. And I think Mikal might do that for a few owners. So that could represent some value for you next year in your fantasy season. But look, at the end of the year, he finishes up at 19.6 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, 3.6. The thing that we loved from him in Phoenix was his steals. He gets one this year, but not in the bulk or the volume. And the field goal percentage really cooked you up with the turnovers as well. Not a great year from McCall, but definitely signifying a return to value next year on him. So McCall is my vote. Mattrix.
Yeah, sorry. I got split a little bit. So I have a couple like almost highly commended because you asked me for one and I went and gave you two. But another one was just OG Anunoby.
That's the other guy I was hoping you would say. Talk about it.
Yeah. So he was drafted in and around that 50. He was the 89th ranked player. I sort of expected a season much like Jalen Williams had from OG. He got traded. And yes, he's a good team guy and just disappointing for fantasy, but he basically got traded for RJ Barrett and then RJ Barrett outperformed him as well, which is just wild. If you said that 2 years ago, I would not have believed you. But yeah, just disappointing when you take a guy in the 50s. And I was one of those guys and then turns out to be the 90th ranked player. You just basically had a bad year if you took guys like you were saying, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby for me. Basically, Jordan Poole. Honestly, if you took Jordan Poole in the 50s,
that's Skiddy's. That's your nomination. That's Skiddy's.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. So we're talking about him. OG, McCall, these guys that get defense that didn't. But the offensive weapon was Poole, and he didn't deliver on anything. Skiddy, he's your nom. Yep. This is Sora was in chat. Look at this. Some people were taking Poole in the third round. At least Bridges played basically every year. Will Sora vote in X and Skiddy? Tell us why Poole got your vote.
Yeah, because he sucks. Pretty simple, mate. He was shit house this year. I mean, he could be better next year. I think it's pretty hard to be worse than that he was this year. So, yeah, I think he can definitely do better. It's going to be interesting to see what the Wizards do in the offseason. But if Poole wants to be the cornerstone that he thinks that he is, then he needs to step it the bloody hell up because this was a disgrace this year.
Yeah, he was. There's a bunch of guys. Everyone's fighting for second place. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Good on your horsey as well. Yeah, Bridges sucked this year. That was not like the most attractive season from him by any way, shape, or form. And we traded back and forth for him too. Like he had that flash though, didn't he, Malley? Where he was like, "Oh, look at this." You were actually debating the value of Bridges.
Yeah. I mean, half these guys, it's hard because everyone on this list has ended up in my team at some point or the other. So, they're all my babies at some point, I'm sure. I think I had Poole. I moved him on to Matty. I think you traded him back to me. I don't know. It's just a revolving door in my games. But yeah, I've got him down here, Poole. He was 54th in points. He was outside the top 150 for rebounds, but that's kind of not that exciting a stat. He was 54th for assists, and he was 136 for field goal percentage. That's yucky.
On a lot of attempts a game.
A lot of attempts a game. He basically had all of it. But talking about a lot of things, we could do a lot of drinks. And if you want to drink responsibly, and I know you're drinking out of it right now, hold it up, Skimmy. Hold up that beautiful, sexy black thing you're drinking from. That is a 4-on-1 from our wonderful sponsor, Standard Squeeze. Oh, look, it's delicious. And you can get that. You can get that right there for 15% off if you use promo code INSIGHT from us, IFS15. It's very simple. It's 3 letters. It's IFS15. You put it in, you get the promo code, you get 15% off. Matty, what have you got there, mate? Talk us about through this one. I know this is your favorite one in the world.
Yeah, no, it's the OG Standard Squeeze. Honestly, just gives you the perfect nip if you like making your drinks. It does help you drink responsibly as well. Yeah, but I'm at home right now, so it doesn't matter too much about drinking responsibly. But yeah, look, Standard Squeeze has been fantastic. And this is food grade quality. So yeah, honestly, Sato from the Standard Squeeze, like the CEO of the Standard Squeeze, actually made this homebrew for me. So yeah, no, fantastic. Oof.
I'm actually going to write. I saw you taking a sip of something out of a Standard Squeeze the other day in that maroon hoodie, and I'm like, I've got to get the maroon. I've got to get the maroon hoodie just for State of Origin season. Hey guys, just don't forget if you are watching right now, you can jump on in to X and you can vote live. This is one of the first times we've done the whole live voting thing. Our 3 things so far are going well. This is really interesting. Our votes so far are this. For our breakout of the year, Jalen Johnson is at 36.4%. Scotty Barnes leading the way on 45.5% with Caruso and Derek White. I managed to change it for you, Skiddy. I got in there quick. I changed Derek
Brilliant. Brilliant.
There's a lot of fucking Jalen's and a lot of Whites in the NBA, okay? That's all I'm saying. A lot of Jalen's, a lot of Whites.
Leave that there.
Hey, G said it, not us. All right, we are not part of what he just said.
Derek White, Kobe
You do
White.
not condone.
I was gonna put Tarek Black. So
Yeah. How about Jack White?
And we're cancelled.
Look, it's all in chat. You can jump on there on X right now. This is one of the interesting ones. The fantasy bust is a fucking this is a brilliant neck and neck vote. 40% for Paul, 40% from Wiggins, 40% from Paul, 40% for Bridges, and 20% for Andrew Wiggins. And no one gives a fuck about Walker Kessler, much like you don't give about a crap about him for next season. And on our most improved, also very interesting. And I think this is indicative of the NBA right now and where their votes went for the season and what could happen over there as well. Because with these votes, it's interesting. 45.5% had Kobe White currently. Alpi Şengün is actually Malley, well played at 36.4%. No one's voted for Gafford yet. Oh, look, it's just shifted live as we speak. 50% White, 33.3% for Şengün. Maxey is at 16.7%. And no one cares about Gafford, funnily enough. They maybe think there was some disrespect poured out on his name previously. So you can absolutely get onto him right now. Here we go. Saw is not voted. Kobe White, Scotty Barnes, and Poole. You can do that one. It is absolutely time for our next category. Let's play this one. We're talking about our waiver wire ad. Now, the one for this was, who was the guy? Oh, this is the source.
It's time to shine. Sit down, boys.
I'm going to tell you a story.
Everyone's a waiver pickup for my team, so I had a list of about 432 players, which is great.
Back in my day, we used to take the waiver wire to school. Let's talk about our waiver wire players of the year. These are our nominations. They are Grayson Allen is mine, Mattrix, your boy Malik Beasley, Vince Williams Jr. is yours, Malley, and Skiddy. Yours is Jalen Johnson, one of our multiple time nominations, because Kobe White is not a nomination for the other one. It was Derek White. Thank you very much. Malley, you are the king of the wire. Talk us through why Vince Williams Jr. is your guy.
I think like a lot of the boys that turned up to play, it was like a game of pickup at the Memphis Grizzlies arena. Everyone's just turning up and asking, putting their hand up for a little play. But they seem to give quite a few minutes to Vince Williams Jr. during their everybody has fake injuries phase. He kept pushing through until he got a real injury, and they had to sit him out for the rest of the reason. He's just so poised, and he's really controlled for a sophomore, like a guy who only played 15 games last season, to kind of come in here and do what he did. His percentages were steady. He did a little bit of everything, which is how I like my guys, except for scoring. Jeez, that'd be a bad soundbite. Maybe we need to edit that part out.
We can't. It's live.
A bit of everything. Yeah, there we go. I said that no one started the season with this guy, so I feel like unlike people who are trying to cheat and put Jalen Johnson in there for their answer, I think Vince Williams actually probably holds his position as a waiver pickup. He was really good for those people who could jump on him early. And he was one of those guys who absolutely exploded probably over the course of maybe 2 or 3 days or maybe 2 games. And everyone was like, he's the man to pick up. And he was another guy that people picked up and held on to until the bitter end, when it seemed like he was actually going to sit out for the rest of the year. And for anyone, I feel like you need an award. If I pick you up from the waivers and you last more than a week on my team, then there's something real special about you.
That's very true.
Can I just jump in, because it is a Grizzlies guy, and I just can't shut my mouth when it comes to Grizzlies. So the 126th ranked player, fantastically. But one of the benefits that come from Vince Williams Jr. was, for some reason on Yahoo, he had point guard, shooting guard, and small forward eligibility. And from a waiver wire pickup, that just gives you like the ultimate flexibility with working your teams and everything like that. Like from a ranking standpoint, probably Scottie Pippen Jr. from like a game by game. But like the fact that you could just slot him in anywhere basically almost made him a season-long keeper. Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. He was
Let's just vote
the
now, I
second that
reckon.
all happened. So, Mattrix, you're the Memphis guy. You've got your ears to the ground there. What kind of role does he play himself into for next season? And would he be one of your sleepers at the end of the year at the bench?
Look, yeah, I think that he will retain his spot. We signed him again for another couple years, whereas some of the other guys we had this year, like we might not see much GG Jackson and Scottie Pippen Jr. next year. I think Vince Williams will come off the bench, but when we've got, Jar playing, when we've got Desmond Bain and stuff back, I expect a limited role. I don't expect him to ever have the season he had. The stars aligned for Vince Williams Jr. and Scottie Pippen and GG Jackson to have a fantasy relevant year. Do not draft Vince Williams Jr. next year.
Now, Skiddy, my question for you as this guy here in Atlanta was huge. I've already mentioned him as one of my nominees. He finished the season as the 52nd ranked player, but he only played, funnily enough, 56 games of the year. You've got him in this one, a dual nominee for the Insight NBA Awards. You do indeed have Jalen Johnson as your waiver wire hero of the year. Talk us through why Jalen for you was the absolute pivot on the wire.
Yeah, well, he bowled over John Collins pretty easily to get the starting job in Atlanta, and they shipped him off, so that's good to see. But then the starting job wasn't as clear-cut at the start of the year because of Sadiq Bey starting as well as DeAndre Hunter. So Johnson had to work into it a little bit, and then once he got that role cemented, it was all systems go from there. It was absolutely amazing pickup, and I don't think anyone really dropped him, being, I think, what was it, 44th per game player for the year. So, yeah, you're definitely not dropping that. I think that was just fantastic year by him. I know he ended up with a banger of injuries, which was a bit of a pain in the ass, but you're pretty much able to ride through that. But, look, if I'm being honest, mate, Jalen was good, but, yeah, Malley was bang on the money. Vince Williams was better.
Well, look, and he was also
Yeah.
I actually wanted to check it as well because I know that we had him and thanks and shout out to our boy Brano as well from Insight, because I know on the preseason show that he was all like, oh, this is the reason why we got the bloke. This is why Jalen Johnson is starting. So I thought, I wonder where he ended up going in drafts. Jalen Johnson, funnily enough, ended up going the 127th ranked player at the end of the year as well. So for me, that was like really interesting. I was like, oh, really? People ended up picking up on that, giving him a chance, picking up towards the end of the drafts. But there was a guy at the end of the year who the only person I heard speaking his praises, and I want to give it out. This isn't my win. And if he wins right now, that's not my fault. I can't be blamed for a guy who was the 153rd ranked player in drafts. So his ADP was 153. And that was one Mr. Grayson Allen. And Grayson Allen was the guy, and you can vote live now. It is on there, the waiver king. Grayson Allen, Malik Beasley, Mattrix, your guy who's going to come up next, because Grayson Allen he's gone. And the guy who took his job was Malik Beasley. The guy who took his job was Malik Beasley over in that part of town. And I love this as well. I love all, but I'd go Allen. He'd added and dropped him and then added him again. This is why Grayson Allen for me was my waiver wire guy. And also there is a little bit of a cameo, another cameo for someone else who was very high on Grayson Allen through the season. Skiddy, I know a friend of yours and a friend of our show, the Heat Check on Saturday mornings. I mentioned Grayson Allen got some noms, and Alex Reclean just had to chime in and say his words.
Hi, all. We're clean here. Just wanted to hop in. I trust that you guys know what you're doing well enough to make Grayson Allen your waiver wire king. There is obviously no alternative selection that makes any sense this year. So I'm going to focus on instead the fantasy MVP that maybe you guys are overlooking. Kawhi Leonard, the dude put forth some of the most games he's ever played for a third-round draft pick. You were getting early first-round value, and he was the player we all want him to be all the time. So that's kind of fun. So shout out to my man Kawhi, who, the fun guy. And I hope you guys are having fun over at the Inside Pod. Peace.
Yeah, thanks very much. And that's one of our awards that we still have yet to go, and you can vote on that one and more. Thank you very much to Alex Racklin on our MVP very, very soon. But yeah, for me, that was my guy that I picked. I know you love Alex. He's such a lovely guy. Grayson Allen just had a breakout season. That doesn't mean he's a good basketball player at the end of the day. Because hey, hold up. No, hold up. Because it's the playoffs, right?
I love Grayson. I've watched way too much Grayson in my life.
Yeah, because he played for Memphis, but he's a prick.
He's a prick. He's an asshole. Hey, my son's name is Grayson. My son's name is Grayson, and he is not named after the guy. He's not named after him.
It was either that or Malik.
I should have named my son Malik just for the sake of this conversation.
No, you shouldn't have.
You know, like this is. Look, Grayson Allen is my pick at the end of that. He finishes the season as the 64th ranked player. And I think, Malley, this is a guy, I know that you picked up and dropped him. But for me, when you end up picking up off the waiver wire a 60 guy who is ending your season as the 64th ranked player, you ride that pony into the sunset, you take your hat off, you crack the whip, and you ride it down to the end of the day. He had an incredibly efficient season. He was almost 500 from the field. Grayson Allen finished the season at 496. His 3-point percentage was 458. That is elite. His free throw percentage was almost 900. He was almost a 50. He was almost a 50, 40, 90 guy. And that never happens. He's been thrown some bucks. He's staying on in Phoenix. His role is cemented, and Mattrix to give you your roses and your flowers, my brother. He was one of the guys at the end of the season, at the beginning of the year, you're like, pick up Grayson. Don't do Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon's washed. Allen has all of it. And that brings us to your nom, the guy who took his job, who the Bucks let go. Malik Beasley, talk us through it.
Look, the last thing I'm going to say on Grayson Allen is if you want some signed basketball cards that I paid way too much for at value, I've got plenty of signed Grayson Allen rookie cards because I've been rating him for years before he was actually good. So I'll leave that there. At SC_Mattrix. There's some great, it's basically Facebook marketplace for basketball cards. Slide into my DMs. Yeah, get yourself a signed Grayson. I think I've got a signed Grayson basketball, signed Grayson jersey. Yeah, slide into my DMs. But Malik Beasley, wasn't he an absolute gem? Look, yeah, got on really early and he just got, honestly, he was just great throughout the year. Basically a 3-point streamer. But if you wanted 3 points, like he had nearly 3 threes per game, and there wasn't too many players exceeding that, to be completely honest. Look, turned himself into a keeper. Yes, you did probably need to punt if you kept him. But of course, if you needed to win a week, you just brought Malik Beasley in. But yeah, he was on nobody's radar and just excelled all year. So I suppose when it comes to waiver wire, you knew exactly what you were going to get from Malik Beasley. You were going to get points and you were going to get threes. If you know what you're going to get out of a waiver wire pick, that makes him a great waiver wire pick for me. So
I agree. And you can find out right now where the votes are at. I think this is one of the more tightly tested ones. In fact, right now, of all the votes, it's even. It's a 33.3% vote across the way. Yours was Jalen Johnson, Skiddy. Malley, you had Vince Williams Jr. Malik Beasley is yours, obviously. Oh, it's just gone 50-50. Someone unvoted and then revoted live on it. That was crazy. Jalen Johnson, though, like you would never let him go ever again, would you, Skiddy? If you picked him up on the waiver wire, would you ever let him go again?
No, not at all, mate. I mean, he's got that starting job cemented in Atlanta. He just does everything. It's a Swiss Army knife kind of player. It's the type of player that Malley loves. So, yeah, you're definitely not dropping him. It's just going to be depending on where you're going to be able to get him next year to be the value.
Where do you reckon he goes next year, boys? Where do you reckon he goes? Mattrix, where do you think Jalen Johnson goes next year? If you're drafting, think 60? Skiddy?
50. 50. I think 50. Like, honestly, like, there's just that path. Like, the fact that Atlanta Hawks are bad, and then the fact that he's been so good and a shining light for them, I think that there's just a pathway for him to go to the next level as well. I would be willing to take Jalen Johnson at 50 next year. And I am somebody that was not a believer. I'm a John Collins guy myself. I didn't understand why they were moving him on. But yeah, look, I would take him at 50 next year. So.
I was surprised. We did a preseason way too early preseason draft, and he went top 40.
Yep, there you go.
In that, so I think is he becoming the new Jalen? Yeah, Malley. Would you think he's the new Jalen Williams for some people in a way?
Yeah, potentially. I just want to see like once Trae Young goes over and starts playing for my Spurs, then I guess that opens up a little bit of space as well for Jalen to move and shake. So yeah, I don't know what they're going to trade back for him. I'd say it's probably Trae for Zach Collins. Seems like a fairly straight line kind of trade. So,
and a second round pick. So and a second round pick. Yeah.
I can't concentrate because all I can see is this thing. Have you seen this with Ted Cruz? No, I can't unsee it. Hey, these two.
It's fantastic.
I love how you are actually so good at technology that you held your phone up to the screen rather than uploading it so that it could come up. So I really appreciate it.
I can line it up with the camera.
Yeah, like I'm just where am I at?
Hey, kids, I love it, Malley.
Thanks, mate. Someone's looking out for me.
I think one of my season highlights of the pods was when Malley and I were talking dunks of the year, and we were talking Jalen Johnson's dunk the same day as Edwards' dunk. You know, the Jalen Johnson dunk on Austin Reeves, and he put his balls in his face and said, "How did these taste?" And the answer was salty. And it was Ant Edwards just absolutely obliterating, like incredible. And Malley was like, "Which one do you take?" And I think that really put Jalen Johnson on everyone's radar for the year. I think that's the vote. You can get it in now. We've got one last one. By the way, before we get to our last one last guest of the show as well. D-Mac at NBA Fantasy Bible, great bloke, jumps on. I asked him for some input as well into our shows and MVP and everything. And this is what he had to say for it.
Boys, Matty G and the boys at Insight Fantasy Sports. How are you? D-Mac from NBA Fantasy Bible here with Fantasy Awards. So let's start with the MVP. For me, can't go past Nikola Jokic. Yes, Joel Embiid was per game a better player, but when it came to the crunch, games played, and particularly when it came to playoffs, Nikola Jokic came through for a lot of us this season. So Nikola Jokic, number one. Next, most improved, and we'll go most improved, but also breakout player of the season, as well as waiver wire, Jalen Johnson, Atlanta Hawks. Very big on him coming into this season, and he did not disappoint. He didn't quite help us in the playoffs. He was a little bit injured, but I think he'll go from strength to strength into next season. So watch for him to be a top 50 pick next season. Finally, bust of the season, we will probably look to Jordan Poole, but for me, I think there was someone a little bit worse, and that's Mikal Bridges. In my opinion, he was being taken in the second round in a lot of drafts, even at the end of the first round in a lot of drafts, and I think that was always going to be too rich for my liking, and it proved to be that way this season. So very disappointing. So biggest bust for me, Mikal Bridges of the Brooklyn Nets. Thank you guys, and don't forget to subscribe to NBA Fantasy Bible. Peace out.
Thanks very much to D-Mac as well. Anyone, good bloke, D-Mac. Good man. Anyone who can jump.
Great mustache. I was going to say the same thing.
He does. It's a great. It's
very respectful. Two caterpillars kissing.
What was? Do you think if I type NBA Fantasy Bible into Pornhub, I'll find something with that stash?
Can you please find out?
Yeah.
Can you find out live? Can you do it live?
It'll go right along with your OnlyFans, Mattrix.
Yeah, honestly, it's coming. Somebody messaged me for feet during the week, and I'm not even joking.
This is not going to change your algorithm.
Can I also say?
Can't wait.
Hey, this is a nice little segue though. If you do want Matt merchandise, because I have designed a new Insight shirt that says OF and it says Only Fantasy Sports.
Very nice. And then put Mattrix's face on it as well. It'll sound like sell like gangbusters.
It'll sell like gangbusters. Have you found it? I want to know what this research. Please put this up. Please put this search up on this computer. Don't forget, this is the time right now to make sure you like and subscribe to all things Insight. Win yourself a t-shirt, beanie, or hat. We are repping the apparel right now. You can get that live. It is good gear. It's just good gear. And you can do that by giving us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. And like Mattrix said earlier, we can do that one. That's the jumper. We've got the store coming. It's in the works. This is our MVP candidates right here, right now. Thanks to DMAC. Make sure you like and subscribe to All Thing His. And also, I did have a message from Kayla Fonte, who jumped on a pod earlier. She wanted to give her shout outs to us and say thank you. It's in Canada. The time was very hard. So she says, look, I'm going to give Jokic, my guy, my breakout. She's between Scotty Barnes, but she is Canadian. So Mattrix, that's give you a vote for that one. And Maxi.
Barnes, can you do it in a Canadian accent from now on, please?
Barnes?
Yeah,
I'm going to take this.
That's Irish. That's Irish.
Yeah, that's definitely Irish.
How do Canadians say Barnes? Barnes?
They finish everything with yeah. Barnes, yeah?
Barnes, yeah?
Hey.
Barnes, yeah?
Barnes, yeah, eh?
And Barnes, yeah?
Your guys
Yeah?
sound Swedish.
And no, not Matt Barnes.
Yeah, it was
that
Harrison.
Scotty? Harrison?
Kick up, sorry.
Yeah.
And Maxi, lol. So it's either Barnes or Maxi, lol. So we can laugh out loud at the choices or enjoy them. Bust, her vote was for Poole. Waiver King was Jalen Johnson, and most improved was Kobe White for her. It is time though for the penultimate. No, not penultimate. Ultimate. Penultimate was the last one. Ultimate is this one. I know my definitions. It is our MVP of the year, and you can vote live on this one very, very soon. Wemby, AD, SGA, and Jokic, the biggest horses in the fantasy landscape. These guys are huge. We all know them. We drafted them wherever we did. These are our guys. These are our nominations for your award. Who do we take out at the end of the day? Malley, talk us through your vote. You took SGA. Why is he your guy?
Well, let me start with my strongest argument first. He was the only person in all 3 of my competitions in my 3 leagues that stayed from the draft to the final day. So I feel like that is probably as good a. I'm joking. I'm not joking. Yeah, he gets the vote just based on that. But he's my Swiss Army knife bloke to a T. 53, 35, 87 splits with his shooting. He's a triple-double threat. He gets nearly a block a game. He gets 2 steals a game. And he was third, unless we're using different rankings than the NBA is with his points. But I guess Embiid actually pipped him on that one. But Embiid couldn't make the race in the end, unfortunately. He's a fun player to watch, which always increases my fantasy love if I can get on and watch a guy actually play who's on my team that I enjoy watching. He played 75 games, which is pretty good reliability for your first pick. I'd say if you get 75 out of 82, you're pretty happy with that. He's Canadian. I've written down here in my footnote, so he's not going to be able to get his hands on a gun and put himself in Ja Morant's position. So I think that's pretty important. And he managed to become great on a team that improved around him from 23, 24. I think that bodes a bit of mentioning probably compared to some of the other guys either in contention for tonight's award with us or in the real MVP argument. Like this whole team, his young team, has grown around him. They're getting stronger. Williams' stats today were insane. Like I think he was 22, 5 and 7 and like great percentages. And like he's got Shet in there like going absolutely bananas today as well. He got 20-odd points and a bunch of rebounds. And then SGA still looks stunning in comparison to them, with his 30-odd points. He got his 2 steals. And my final note here is you'd take him home to your mum, wouldn't you? Like, look at him. He's a handsome boy. He looks like he's well-mannered. Like, he's the poster boy for Canadian sports. And, I think he deserves as many votes as possible, especially for the MVP vote in NBA real time.
Well, if he's going to take that title belt from anyone, it's got to be from Nikola Jokic, Skiddy, who is your nomination for this one. Mate, why is Nikola still the number 1 big pony in town?
Need I say more? No. All right. Look, everyone picked him number 1, and that's exactly what he ended up in. Totals for the NBA season, he was number one overall because he was able to play 81 games this season, 26 points, which is 2 more points than he had last year. He brought his rebounds up 0.6 to 12.4. He hit a 3 per game, 9 assists, 1.4 steals, which is up. Blocks are only at 0.8, but who gives a crap? Field goal percentage, 583. Elite there. Free throw percentage on high attempts as well at 81. Can't go wrong there. He was just unbelievable. And the fact that he was able to bump his numbers from being the best NBA fantasy player last year, and he still did better than that, means that he obviously gets the number one vote. I'll go on with the extra things about him as well, like because Malley's obviously given a little bit extra for SGA, so I'll give a little bit extra. He loves horses. Tick. There you go. He loves horses. That's fantastic. He was playing half-ass for the whole year as well, because we know that playoff Jokic compared to regular season Jokic is a different beast. We've seen what he does against the Lakers. Also, 20-point lead. Nuggies 2-0. Nuggies 2-0. And I think it's pretty clear cut. I think he should have been the MVP in the NBA last year. We know that was bullshit. He deserves it again this year. I can see the arguments for Shea and Luka. I think Shea has had a fantastic year. I think Luka's had a fantastic year, but they don't compare to the Serbian slug himself, Nikola Jokic. Hence why he should be the NBA fantasy MVP this year, as well as the MVP.
And his brother's punch on with flogs in the crowd too, so I think that's got to get him a few extra points.
I was nearly about to tell you, hey, shut up, this is my time. You've had your time, but good point. I like that. Right now from you.
Helping to throw one in there.
Yeah, I love that too.
See the bloke he smacked in the face? He hit him hard.
Cold.
He was rebounded. Yeah, he was. Mate, I think that guy needs an award.
Mate, he did better than that Haney bloke that bloody Ryan Garcia smacked around for 10 rounds the other day. Bloody hell, he looked fantastic. Man didn't even give a shit.
It was great.
We're talking about your 20-point lead getting busted. That comes to the next. It makes it hard for you, Mattrix, because the team that he came back from that 20-point lead was the Lakers, and your MVP is AD. The much maligned Anthony Davis makes your vote. Tell us why, Mattrix, that AD is your MVP.
You mean Jokic's bitch?
I feel like this has kind of turned into like make your case for the votes on Twitter at the moment. And if I can make your case is, yes, if you had the number one pick, you took Jokic. Fucking fantastic. Great. You took the best player. Fantastic. But you could take Anthony Davis at 17 and get excellent value. So like we play in some 20-man comps where you're not expected at all to go well if you've got the 17th pick. So AD, the 12.8th highest pick on Yahoo, the 17.7th highest pick on ESPN, to be the 4th ranked player to play 76 games throughout the year and just like have a 0.55% field goal percentage, 0.816 free throw percentage. His 3-point mage dropped because he spent a lot of time closer to the rim this year. But, you know, probably the best year he's had in rebounds with 12.6. Still got 3.5 assists, still got 2.3 blocks. And to play in the limelight as well, the way that Anthony Davis does. I don't see too many Denver games on KO at the moment here in Australia. So yeah, there's a lot of Lakers games. And I suppose that's what Anthony Davis cares about, is what the platypuses think. So yeah, look, Anthony Davis is out there. He's the 17th drafted player, but you got, 4th best player value. That makes him the fantasy MVP for me.
Did you really just use a case of the NBA sucking off the Lakers to make Anthony Davis the MVP? You've got to be shitting me. You're really scraping the bottom of the barrel, Mattrix.
Look, I don't think this is fantasy MVP. This isn't MVP of the league. Like Joel Embiid, in his games, what are you holding up? 4, 6?
Yeah,
I don't even know how many fingers yet.
You're comparing first to 4th. Like, come on now.
100%. We're comparing first to 4th because we're talking about fantasy value. If you take a guy at first and you get first value, it is what it is. It's like taking OG Anunoby at 90. Like exactly the same. If you get the 17th. You get the fourth best guy with the 17th pick. You've done a lot better than if you took Nikola Jokic. And also, Nikola Jokic per game is only the second best player. Joel Embiid did better than him this year. Booyah.
Where did Davis finish?
Hey, this
Lakers.
Hey, look, and this being said, though, this was a season where Joel Embiid had the highest PER of any player in NBA history. He had 35 for a season as well. To be fair, in Mattrix's defense, so this was an argument that could be made. We're talking fantasy here. We're talking fantasy. And again, every argument for when you come to these four guys is one who could have carried many players to victory, or we're not talking about like Mikal Bridges. We're not talking about the guys who broke our heart. We're talking about the guys who won us chips. We're talking about the guys we put our franchise on. And San Antonio, obviously, with my vote, took Victor Wembanyama with the first pick last year. And this is the funny thing, because you guys are talking about Twitter votes and all that kind of jazz, I had to do some deeper research to find some fun facts about him. Not only was he the first, triple-double guy since Tim Duncan and everyone, he is the youngest ever Euro Cup player. At 15 years old and 2 months, he became the first and youngest player to compete in the Euro Cup. He was the outstanding performance in under-16s Euro Championship. And before he did all of these things, he came over to the NBA, where, to be honest, at the end of the year, he finished as the 6th or 7th ranked player, depending on 8th or 9th cat value. This was a guy who was ranked 18 in ADP, according to RotoWire. So there has been no guy, let alone a rookie, who has individually changed the course of NBA fantasy future ever. So my vote for him being the most valuable player this year is not the fact that he was that great this year, even though statistically the man was amazing. He finished the year with 21 points a game, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.2 steals, and 3.6 blocks. His free throw percentage was almost at 800. When people kind of knock him as well on the free throw percentage, people are looking at the wrong fact. He was almost at 800 for the year. Now, 796 is not going to kill your fantasy season, much like our other French big man, Rudy Gobert, by chance. Well played to him. Yes. Also, fucking Victor is French, but this is a guy who is putting up 3.6. Combine that together, that is almost 5 stocks a game. He has individually changed the course of the NBA fantasy landscape, and he's also changing the way that we're going to draft next season. So for me, that's why he gets the MVP, which you can vote for live now on X, much like all the rest of them as well. We'll give a full update on our votes very soon before we finish the pod up, and we will do that in a second. But this is a guy, he fills every cat for me. I didn't have him anywhere, but he still gets my MVP because of the way that we have changed the way that we think about fantasy next season. Because we now live in a reality where Victor Wembanyama could be the number 1 pick in your fantasy draft next year, and Jokic could be second. And you won't be surprised. And I think that makes him the most valuable player because the way that he has shifted the paradigm of how we think about fantasy basketball. And a player hasn't done that in a very long time. And I think that makes him rare. That makes him unique. And that's why he gets my MVP award. And this is why everybody should listen to not only just me and my bullshit, but everyone and Inside's bullshit. All about good stuff as well. All about things. You can do that right now over at our Discord channel. Make sure you do like and subscribe to that in our Discord, our full-time one. We've got the NRL popping off right now. There are games being played over the course of the weekend. AFL is on Skiddy. Go Storm. That's a Melbourne vote. Go AFL. My AFL is going great guns. Huge as well.
Yeah. Great game today. Yeah, we're killing it. It's fantastic. Man horse every Wednesday and Sunday. Sorry. We give you the AFL fix that you need. We got everything from bets to Supercoach to who to pick, who to not pick, all this and that. It's fantastic.
And Malley, you are with us obviously on the NBA as well. Wemby went around 30-40 in all my leagues, and his ADP for the year was, by the way, 18.7. So if you got him at around 30 or 40, you were absolutely kicking yourself. Malley, how are you going to enjoy the playoffs now that you don't have that many? You might have one pod a fortnight to record. Jeez, life of luxury.
Yeah. I also don't know what else to do with myself now. I'm just out there wasting my money on basketball cards, so I need the fantasy season to come back because I need like a cheaper fix, I think.
You want a Grayson Allen signed card? Because I got a few of them.
Oh, hell yeah. And you know I'll get it and trade it on because that's what I do.
I got a Brandon Miller rookie card and a Chet Holmgren rookie card from Hoops. I've opened a pack of Hoops, and it was Chet from this season, but it's not marked with the RC because technically he was drafted last year. I'm like, what the fuck? He was a rookie of the year candidate. I don't get it. Anyway, make sure you do that, and you also check out our good friend Ryan from Astute Newstead. If you are ever dreaming of your dream home here in Australia, you need to check his details. They're below right now. Skiddy, I know he helped you out with a home. Mattrix, I know he's helped out mates of yours. If you are looking to refinance or do anything like with money and to get that dream home that you want, Ryan is your guy from Astute Newstead. Make sure you check out his details. They are in the link below. Don't wonder anymore. Check it out with confidential and obligation-free advice. He's the guy. Astute Newstead, Ryan Hammond. He is our guy. We love the ham and cheese, and you can check out his details below. He is an expert when it comes to all things finance. Guys, I reckon that is it. Should I check out the?
Whoa. All right,
I'm checking the votes.
Who is winning the NBA championship this year? G?
I get asked. It's really weird. I get asked a question first. Shit.
Yep.
Minnesota Timberwolves.
Okay. Mattrix?
I want someone different.
Denver.
Malley?
Yeah, probably Denver. I don't want that to happen, but who am I to change the course of history?
Why not? Denver are great.
You know what? Right. I'm going to be honest. I know you said it that 2-0. The Lakers giving them punches the other day in the first round. Fuck the Lakers. I know you say that as your default setting, but that's got to cause you concern for your second and your third round to get to the finals. No, it's got to. At this point now,
you've got LeBron. You've faced LeBron in the first round. You know what? It's gonna be a rough trot. But if you can overcome that, yeah, you'll be right.
That shot was ridiculous. Can we all just acknowledge that shot from Jamal Murray? AD should have been closer on the closeout.
Shit, defense by AD.
He should have closed out a lot closer.
Drive way too hard.
Your fantasy MVP.
What?
That was a fucking. He just lost 3 votes. The votes have just changed live.
I've been saying since probably a week into the season, the Boston Celtics are winning the championship, and it doesn't change even after that bullshit they put up today. No ball movement or anything like that, and the Miami Heat beat them by 10. It made them look absolutely silly. But if they actually switch on, their best is better than anyone else's, and Boston will win the chip this year.
That's a good vote. What about you, Malley?
You already said it.
Yeah, I also don't think Suns go any further. So yeah, that's my bet. When Grayson Allen's your best player, you're probably not going much further than the first round.
I wanted a real vote from Malley. I wanted one that wasn't just like anyone but the Nuggets. I want someone. This is the thing. I just want someone.
Cleveland.
I'll give you someone different then. Let's go Clippers. I reckon they're going to absolutely come from nowhere and go for it. Kawhi's back. Yep. Harden's looking great in the playoffs. PG
you fucking love Harden.
I think we got playoff P, so we'll see how that goes.
How's that stat though, that stat that Kawhi, Harden, and Paul George shot like 1 of 17 when defended by Luka Doncic the other day? Like, that's outrageous. Luka, lockdown defender.
Yeah, he did look special though. If you go by the eye test, he looked pretty bloody impressive. He was guarding well.
Yeah, 100%. Also, too, shout out Paul George for hitting that buzzer beater at the end of the fourth. You got my multi up. Thank you very much, brother.
G24.
I just fucking missed out on Kawhi by 1-3 on my multi the other day. I was like, Jesus. I was 1-3. He took like 6 or 7, was it? And he was 0 from 6 or 7. The legs went back on Kawhi. And he was, that just broke my fucking heart. Bloody hell. That's it. That's the pod. Let's just go home. Let's just done. We're done. Malley, an hour and 20 minutes for you is like a marathon. You're a marathon.
Yeah, man. It's way past my bedtime. Be tired tomorrow.
The Storm is still playing, man.
Let's go, Storm.
Hey guys, don't forget, you jump into the Discord after you finish this conversation with us live. You need to jump into our X. You need to vote for all of it. We'll give a vote really quickly. Here's a bit of a check right now. I'll refresh the page because I did that a couple of minutes ago. Right now for our MVP, the votes are at this. We've got Wemby at 25%, Nikola Jokic at 37.5%. We've got SGA at 12.5% and AD at 25%, equaling Wemby. Our waiver king of the year, Mattrix, you're winning right now. Malik Beasley is 57%. Grayson Allen at 28%. Vince Williams at 14%. And no one gives a fuck about Jalen Johnson, apparently. Our fantasy bust of the year is currently, at this point, Jordan Poole at 55%, 27%, 28% almost for Mikal Bridges, 16.7% for Andrew Wiggins. And no one gives a shit about Walker Kessler. No one thinks he was a bust. People just think he's a dickhead and didn't give you any return it.
Wrong category.
Wrong category. Wrong cat. Wrong Kessler.
Yeah,
There's not that many Kesslers in the league. For our breakout of the year, Scotty Barnes is getting a lot of love. He is at 56.3%, followed closely by Jalen Johnson from Atlanta at 31.3%. And tied on 6.3% is Alex Caruso. And the correct white, Derek White at 6.3%. Derek. And who you got for most improved? Kobe White is at 43.8%. Well, I don't know what happened in the NBA. That was fucking egregious at this point. Tyrese Maxey at 25%. Gafford at 6.3%. Well played, Mattrix. He has got some votes. And Alpi Şenkün has tied Tyrese Maxey for 25% there. You can get all of those and more. We will announce our full list of winners tomorrow live on the show. Thanks so much for watching, enjoying everyone all. Thanks to the 100+ people who joined us for this stream across X, Facebook, and YouTube tonight. Thank you very much. We'll raise the bat. And everyone, let's raise a drink and our thumb and say, make sure you like and subscribe to all things at Insight NBA and Insight Fantasy Sports. You can find us at Insight F Sports. I am Matty G. That is SC Mattrix. That is at Skiddy IFS. And that is at live_my_fantasy. Take care, everybody.
Cheerio.